Hey, it's Mike at digitalnomad.net. Hopefully everybody's calm out there. No politics, okay? Are we heading towards America First 3.0? Isolationism, protectionism under Trump? What's going on? Because I think everybody out there, there's so much emotional reaction out there with politics. Now, this is not a political video. This is a history lesson, in case you don't know, because I feel like a lot of people who are so upset are, are either looking at this totally politically because their own political ideologies are being crushed, or they are unaware of history or some kind of something like that together. Now, let's set the stage for this. Let me explain the different, why I think we're going into a new MAGA world order, a third world order. Now, before World War II, all right, America was like is practicing more like isolationism. All right, it was hard to communicate. It's hard to do transportation effectively across the seas, and that's just how it was. We are all kind of living off in our own separate corners. But now, before I continue, you might say, hey, Mike, why are you even talking about this? Who cares about that? All we care about is Trump, and he's ruining the country. Well, let's put it this way. I've noticed a few things in recent times, which I want to talk about first, that didn't used to take place in the 70s and 80s, because I'm 55 right now while I'm recording this. And everybody used to love the U.S. It was like the envy of the world. Everybody wants to come to the United States, okay? And nobody growing up in the U.S. ever dreamed of moving away to another country, it seemed like. But nowadays, and this is even before the second term of Trump, I'd say that there's been a huge incentive, financial incentive, for people to leave the country and have a better life, where they don't have to work so hard and get stressed out and seem like, making a living is nearly impossible. And just to kind of give you an idea of that and why I think this is relevant, I shared something recently that said, based on the different generations, what do you think each generation thinks is an adequate income to support a family, support a household? The boomers were like 75,000. Gen X, me, was like 100,000. Millennials were like 120,000. And then you get over to Gen Z and the Alpha, which is the newest generation, and they say over $500,000 a year. Okay, just switching to the next generation. Now, why? It's because of quantitative easing, aka money printing. It started really in earnest in 2008. And what is quantitative easing? Why does it even make any difference? Why has it inflated asset prices? Well, it has. Let's just state the facts. Quantitative easing, meaning dollar printing, fake fiat currency, has created inflation like we've never seen before. And that's why the youngest generation feels like they can't make ends meet. And that's why other countries are so attractive. And it's kind of weird because asset inflation has happened for sure recently, but the cost of cheap goods, like, I don't know, TVs, stuff at the dollar store, stuff at Walmart, stuff at Target, has plummeted. Okay, that stuff's cheaper than ever. Now, why? That's because we have a giant trade deficit with people like China. All right. And that's what the problem is, that they are kind of taking over our supply of things in terms of manufacturing, even cars. I think Biden put 100% tariff on electric vehicles from China in his own administration before he left. I don't know if you knew that. I know it's not even being talked about right now because it's so political, and the conversation is so emotionally charged. It's not based in facts. So yeah, is there going to be some pain if we have to transfer to a third world order, a new world order? Yes, it's going to be painful. Okay, changes never go smoothly. Most people resist change, but is it necessary? That's the question. Do we need to do this? Actually, another thing I want to mention is Ray Dalio. He's wrote a book about. He wrote several books actually. There's one about the New World Order. Okay, can't remember the exact title, but it deals with this, basically saying how China's become a new superpower and the U.S. currency may no longer be the world standard. And this is a big problem. This is a big problem if we are to have a successful country. And it's not worth substituting and selling out for cheap goods, stuff you can buy, like to keep your dopamine levels high. Oh, buy this, buy that, buy that. All that stuff that you buy, the stuff is cheap. But the real estate, the assets, the hard assets are incredibly expensive. And the average person cannot live. Now, we can go kind of take another deep dive into the healthcare crisis that's happening now in the United States and the rest of the world. And that's also related to this, but I'm not really going to get into that. You can check out our other channel at plantbaseddiet.org, aplantbaseddiet.org, or plantbasedvideos.info for more on that work we do with the nonprofit. But, okay, let's get back into history. So before World War II, isolationism. World War II ends, the U.S. is victorious, yay. And even though I don't like war, it ushered in a new world order. And it was signed at Bretton Woods Hotel over there near Mount Washington in New Hampshire in 1944, I believe it was. And basically, it set the U.S. dollar as the world standard, and it had a whole bunch of rules for interacting with one another in peaceful times. And the U.S. dollar was shown to be backed by gold at Fort Knox, the gold standard. So it was not fiat currency at that point in time. It was actually backed in gold. Then that lasted all the way until 1971. I don't remember this, I was one. And Richard Nixon pulled us off the gold standard. He said it was because of an emergency. All right, I don't know what the emergency was, but that was the end of the Bretton Woods era because we didn't know what to do. I don't think anybody knew where we were at that point in time. The gas crisis was happening. The U.S. auto industry was totally caught off guard and lost everything because they didn't innovate. That's a whole other thing. I got videos on that too, on why that happened. And the Japanese took over around that time. And until, I think nobody knew where we were until about the 80s, sometime in the 80s. And Reagan and Thatcher ushered in neoliberalism, where basically they said, okay, we're still going to use the U.S. dollar. There is not going to be a gold standard. So it's going to be something where, sorry, somebody up next to me charging their car. It's going to be something where we're okay with it not being on the gold standard. And it also kind of relaxed everything. Tariffs were really relaxed because, but keep in mind, pre-World War I, or World War II, there were a lot of tariffs and things. So it was isolationism, protectionism, that kind of thing. And I think we're moving back into that. And there's a reason why, though. Okay, there's actually a reason why. You got to think this through. So what happened was it started off great. I think in the 80s. I think the 80s were a really good decade. In the 90s is also a good decade, pre-internet. And then since the internet and online shopping, it seems like everybody's buying all their crap made overseas. Of course, this is not even good for the environment, having to do all that traveling. And of course, it's offshored all the industries that used to be here, steel, furniture making, textiles, all to other countries where they can do it for a lot less money. So it's really devastated certain economies, and they've all returned. But you know what I see? You know what I've seen returning? Denise and I travel all the time. It's like downtowns full of breweries, distilleries, everything else. And even they've adapted reuse of these things in the condos around breweries and distilleries and wineries and all this stuff. I mean, it works, but we're still stuck in a situation where we're at massive trade deficits. And here's what's happened since 2008. The real estate crisis happened, and the U.S. government had to start printing money. Quantitative easing, QE, in order to not allow the entire economy to collapse. That's what happened if you don't remember. Now, also, this happened more recently with COVID, okay? Even more money printing. And of course, asset prices have spiked. I mean, it's unbelievable how expensive just your regular old house costs nowadays. Unbelievable. You can't even make ends meet. That's why the youngest generation can't. I mean, they don't think they'll ever be able to buy a house. These are bad times. This has nothing to do with any particular person in office. This has to do with the system that we have set up. Again, check out Ray Dalio's books if you're unfamiliar with that. He's got a really good insight on the economy, and he's a billionaire himself, I believe. So he's outside of the system. He doesn't struggle in any way. So he's just trying to help people, I hope, anyway. Because the word on the street is all these billionaires, the oligarchy, they're taking over. And I don't think that's what's going on. And I don't get into politics, neither does Denise. We run a 501c3, so we don't. And this is my personal opinions and things. This has nothing to do with that organization. But this is not even a political video. Please give me your comments down below. I'd like to hear if you agree with this, but it's not a political video. So what happened was we're at the end stage of capitalism all of a sudden, okay? Because everybody says it. Oh my gosh, the U.S. government keeps quantitative easing, QE, printing money, asset prices are out of control, nobody can afford anything. The youngest generation is screwed thanks to the older generation trying to protect themselves and screw them over. And I don't think that's what's going on either. I actually think it's just a flawed system, as all systems are, that needs refining and actually probably replacement. And if you go to our nonprofit, we actually believe that most of the systems in the world are degenerative and they need to be replaced with regenerative systems. So inherently unstable is a money printing system that relies on quantitative easing with a fiat currency. Okay, it's going to get to the end stage, and I think we're there. I mean, faster than we ever would have imagined we're going to be there. We're there. So what's Trump trying to do? was it like Freedom Day or something like that he called? I can't remember what it was, April 2nd, which was like 2 days ago. The stock market crashed like 5% yesterday, one of the largest crashes in history, April 3rd, 2025. And April 2nd, he announced all that stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen with prices, but is there going to be pain? Yeah, there's going to be pain. But does it mean that we'll be able to exist in peace and exist where we can support a household into the future? I hope so. I think that's what we're doing, a new world order, like the MAGA world order. So what's it going to be? Okay, I think that these tariffs are an idea that Trump is throwing out there to, yeah, there's retaliatory tariffs. It's a trade war. It's a trade war. But who's going to win this? That's the question. All right. I think we have a lot of talent here in this country. I think that it should not be super attractive for everybody, especially the youngest generation, to leave. Oh, and not have kids. We're at the lowest fertility rate ever. People they know what's going on. Even if they cannot put it into words, they know it's not good times. Okay, it's not. And so we have to do something. So I think that this has a chance of working. Not to say that it's going to work, okay? Has to be implemented and executed correctly. But what Trump has done now is he has slapped tariffs all across the board to just about everybody. People have said they're going to do tariffs back. We'll get to a standstill. And this is going to be a giant negotiation, in my opinion, okay? I think what's going to have to do is there's going to have to be a giant negotiation, and we have to rework the world order, like it may be called MAGA. I don't know what they're going to call it. And it's going to end up where the U.S. is going to have to make it clear that the U.S. is still in charge and that the dollar is still with us, and maybe it needs to go back on the gold standard. Get rid of quantitative easing. I've said this before. Money printing is just totally unsustainable, and all the politicians use it to their advantage, all of them, because none of them want to be stuck with a bad economy. They're trying to influence the Fed constantly, even though supposedly that can't be done. I guarantee you that's being done. Just like people say that people don't realize that the lobbyists are running the country, the corporations. They are. We got to rework the system. So I am all for reworking it, and this may be the way that it has to be done. I don't know, because if it's not done to change the trend where other countries are looking better and better year after year, better and better and better, then people are just going to leave. This country's going to start shrinking. It's not going to be attracting people. And yeah, I know that we are still attracting people from other places. People still want to be like Americans, which I don't understand. Not the way they are right now anyway. But they don't realize too, I talked to other folks who say in other countries, news doesn't travel as fast. So they're getting things way behind, many years behind. They still don't realize how expensive it is here and how so many issues that are happening here in the United States. So I would say don't take this as a political issue. This is not a political video. I want to hear what you have to say in the comments. But I do believe that this is what Trump is doing, is trying to set up a third world order in modern times. And that will be with the U.S., kind of more protectionist, isolationist, but in charge, having more manufacturing. That's the thing, more manufacturing here in the U.S. Tesla is, of course, the largest automaker in the world, U.S. manufacturer. I also try to buy as many things as I can. I'm in the landscape business. Wright Manufacturing out of Frederick, Maryland, builds a lot of the equipment that I buy. But yeah, we need that. We need... Don't complain that your stuff's going up a little bit more and you're not able to buy from other countries, okay? There's a reason. That stuff is the methods we've been in with this total freedom in terms of trade has been unsustainable, because it's been based on this fiat currency that has caused massive asset price risings. And if you're concerned that the assets are going down, okay, which is actually, I think, a good thing, because it enables us to continue going forward for future generations, not just us. Think about others. Think about people in the future, please. I'd say that this is a good time it may start to be a good time to buy with a lot of extra money into stocks. I know Warren Buffett has got this massive stockpile of cash and other real estate and equities. So look forward to hearing your comments, and I look forward to seeing how this works out. And yeah, it's going to be painful. Okay? I don't care who's in charge. This is not political. This is something that needs to be done. When I say something, I mean the world order needs to change. The question is exactly how. And if you have a better idea than what I'm saying, please let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.